it's okay that their models are like that, the country models are like that. But if we think of India as an country, so we all are aware that more than 50 to 60% of the population is directly or indirectly dependent on agriculture. So if we want to have inclusive growth and development, agriculture is such a sector which cannot be neglected. And if you consider the current share of GDP, so we are having like 15 to 18%, whatever is the GDP percentage in agriculture, which agriculture contributes. So even that 15% GDP is controls the entire economy and quality of the country. So why is it so? You must have heard, if there are repetitive floods or if there are repetitive droughts in the country, so the demand for consumer durables, demand for FMCG, demand for automobile shrinks. So what does that mean? It means that in India, even though the share of GDP, agriculture GDP is just 15%, but it affects the entire economy. So we have to understand the importance of agriculture and food sector, horticulture, and the entire value chain in the country. And to add to that, so industries and startups, they play a very important role in that. Since you are already from agriculture background, so you must be aware of what kind of different startups are there, and I assume that you must also be knowing the definition of the startups and the respective incentives or whatever benefits are available from the startups. So if we take for example, so what are the agriculture or food technology startups? So somebody providing drone service, somebody like even Zomato, you can say that agri food startup, because Zomato has also started collecting from the farmers. So that kind of this thing are there. Then precision farming, then different kind of which are tech enabled startups. So what I have been in this sector since last 20-25 years, and what I have observed since last 5-10 years, or since the time when startup concept was beginning in the India, that no doubt there are a lot of opportunities are there, a lot of good incentives are being given, but there are a lot of challenges as well. And we are missing a lot of these opportunities because we are not able to address the challenges. So I would like to rather more focus on challenges, and in a later part, or in the question and answer session, we can see how we can address those challenges, so that by the end of this course, at least those who want to start their own startup, or those who want to have their own business, so how those challenges can be overcome, so that you also have a good legacy and a good success in agriculture and food processing startup. So I'll just this is not a presentation or something, but I'll just share uh, whatever my thoughts jotted down. So is the presentation visible? Hello?
Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
can
Yes,
can
sir.
anybody? Yeah, is it visible? Okay. So this is in fact I'll share once this program is over, or this my particular presentation is over, I'll share this along with. But moreover, what we have to understand is that other than the field, or which startup you are working, we have to understand the dynamics and the challenges of the agri food startups, which I have understood. And going forward, if at all, if you feel that these challenges are really not you people are not able to handle it, so you can always come back to me. I would request the organizers to share my mobile number as well as the mail of this my mail and mobile number as well, so that those who want to work as an entrepreneurs, I would like to definitely help them, not only with mentorship, but also wherever funding is possible, we will also do the funding. So so I have been since I, as I already told, like I have been working with so many companies, startups, and I'd also request like the participants to visit my LinkedIn page, so they would understand where I have contributed to the government of India, to the government of Maharashtra, and the industry as a whole. So what I feel in terms of agri food startups, the basic business model is not missing. I would not say missing, but the business model is not something which is coming out from the farmer's requirement or the industry requirement. So like what happens like any startup or any inventor or any participant is there. So like what happens he thinks that whatever his solution is there, that solution is to some problem. But here, in identifying the business model or in identifying the solution or giving a solution, I would say rather, the most important thing is identifying a problem. In most of the cases or some cases, it is happening that we are devising or we are designing a solution where it may not be the problem. So identification of problem and providing exact solution to that problem is very important. So while devising your solution, so it can be technology solution, it can be physical solution, it can be process solution. The most important thing is that we have to understand whether that particular invention or this thing is the need of the farmer. So for example, we have a lot of technologies which are helping soil sampling and getting soil testing and all those things. But like in some soils or like in some crops, for example grapes, the petiole and leaf analysis is important. So what is going into the field, that is important. So any startup or any company who has like a soil testing equipment, so the grape farmer will not be required that kind of thing. So we should understand the entire ecosystem of agriculture and food industry, so that the business model can be based upon. And like no doubt we must be having lot of fantastic, lot of marvelous ideas which we feel that it will solve global problem, global hunger problem. But we have to understand that how economic it is, what returns it will give to the investor if someone invests. So that is the thing which I feel should be of prime focus, and we should not be carried away by our own fancies and our own thought processes. So that is very important as a success factor. And you must also be seeing a lot of and not only you, I have seen a lot of startup promoters seeking job after 5-10 years. So why is that happening? So that we have to see to it. Then again, the second challenge which which I have observed and which I am not able to see on the ground is scalability and reach. So I was invited for this PM Kisan, some very big event was there, and I was a few of the selected who was invited for the PM's program in Pusa. And there I saw a lot of startups in carbon and a lot of things are there. But I never saw those startups or those promoters in the field. One. Number two, I also since I am director research and advisory committee of Maharashtra Rajya Draksha Bagadar Sangh, which is world's one of the largest farmer producer organization. So while visiting, I also found that farmers were not aware of a solution being existing from some of the startups. So scalability and reach is something we should think before we invest in a startup. So scalability and reach, that is the other challenge. You people must also be feeling that. Then in fact, so business model and scalability, okay, we have addressed. Again, what the major challenge is also the leadership qualities not in like entire leadership qualities I am talking. No doubt. In fact, if you have started as a startup, or if you have uh, been thinking as an startup, so like it means itself means that like you have the leadership quality. But then, what are the leadership qualities? So those must be present in the promoter and the entire team, because startup being in a small organization, you can't afford to have stalwarts or good people with good background on your roles. So leadership qualities is very important. And also one more thing which I missed while talking scalability and this thing. Most of the startups are on the laptops and your boardrooms, or in the offices, which the incubation centers promote. But as a startup, we should be on field. So that is also something a challenge, or I don't know, like this thing. But that is something we should take on. And so leadership qualities. So there you must also go through it. And then most important leadership qualities, having consistency, having your balance, then right team, communication skills. Since all of you must be graduates, so you know like what are these qualities. So these qualities are also very important in this. And also one more thing, like this, what are challenges we have been discussing. So these are not in what we can say in any chronological order. So I just put up as an like what I felt, and I thought of this. So that is one thing. And other is that business model we were discussing. So like whatever business model, or like we think of a solution. So it's very important that we should have like fundamental knowledge of that field, market awareness, field knowledge, what it goes on to field. Some of PhD or some students from robotics. So they were planning some robo for weeding. But in India, like that fields are not even. Then we have the bunds on fields. The fields are not big. So a robo like it's very difficult to accept like how robo will do the weeding, because intercropping is there. So that was the thing. So market awareness has to be there. Then like initially, even though we have a good market idea, like a lot of things fall in place. But if it happens that the financial resources are in a crunch, so that also is a very big problem for the promoter or the startup this thing. And even though the lot of schemes are available, so cumbersome that at times it also gives us a feeling that why we are doing this. But we have to understand that these are the challenges, not only for the startups, but even who are the established industrialists. So those people also have these uh, challenges, including the financial resources. Again, like in particularly in agriculture and food, there is complexity of government regulation in terms of compliances, right from manufacturing compliance, or in terms of food safety compliance. So there are different licenses which are required. You may not be aware of those, or like you may not be applying for those. But if we want to do the fully legal project, so compliances are also a thing of concern. Then like there are some not retail giants as such, but any companies or any entities who are already working in this space, so they may create a problem for us in terms of price. So like you have a very good solution. So just phone was ringing. So if you have some good solution, but if it is not market or like affordable, so then that is also a challenge. So we have to consider our product or service in comparison with like whatever services are available in the market. So that is also very important, and these are like few of the challenges. Also, like once even though we overcome these challenges, it may happen that like in the end we are not landing up a profitable business. So we need to have a proper commercial guidance wherein whatever resources we are deploying, those resources should give us profits, or those resources should not drain our whatever pocket we are having. So like the basic profit loss statements preparing, then monitoring of the resources, then filing of your taxes and all those things. Even though there are tax soaps for startups, but we have to file the returns for that. Again, like particularly if we think of agriculture and food startups, or like the startups who want to cater to the rural India, or devise a solution for rural in the value chains. So like low internet connectivity in the rural areas, that is also a big concern. Even in cities nowadays, because of increased uh, traffic on like network, so even on cities we are having a lot of call drops. So that is also a challenge. Then uncertain climatic conditions are there. Also, you must be like again in agriculture startups. Most of the startups, or most of the like industries, they are urban based. So last mile delivery is itself is a very big problem. And in this case, we should try and we can have types with the local PACS or local people, so that the last mile delivery of your disruption or your technology becomes an easier task. Then coming to the like there are many challenges. So in fact, in the end of the session, you can also share what are your challenges. So it's infrastructure. So even though we must be having small setup, small invention or a small solution or small product, but for that we need to have a setup. We need to have a proper office. We need to have personal or human resources. We need to have network and everything. So so in incubation centers you have these facilities, but you cannot run your entire life from a business incubation center. So this is also a challenge. So how the agriculture startups can collaborate with each other to see this. So this is some of the challenges. And and like Mandit, these challenges are not to drive away you from that. This is very challenging, but to make you understand, these are the initial challenges. If we are to plan any new venture, so we should think of this before venturing into this. There are a lot of principles, a lot of analysis, including the SWOT analysis, which should be done before we venture into any kind of enterprise. In fact, I would like to also discuss you about the pestle analysis. So, like even a small change in the local ecosystem or the macro ecosystem, it may hamper your startup. So you have to ensure that you fulfill the criteria of pestle analysis. So I'll just tell you the long form of the pestle. P means polity, E means economic, S means social, T means technological, L means legal, and E means ecological. So your startup or your product and service should fulfill all these criteria. For example, like some of the chemicals were banned in India just a couple of days, or some of the even you must be aware the contract corporate farming. So the ordinance of 2018 was promulgated for corporate farming, but farmers opposed it, and eventually all the three ordinances were were repealed by the central government of India. So in that case, if any startup thinking of giving a corporate solution to corporate farming is a waste of time and energy. So while devising your enterprise, you should understand the social requirement, technological barriers, and all those things, so that you don't fail at a later stages. And of course, the SWOT analysis. So, these were some of the things we were discussing about the challenges. But moreover, like as I told you in the beginning itself, we cannot replicate the models of developed countries in India. We have to have our own models wherein the rural population is taken care of and given an inclusive opportunity. While talking so, I would also like to throw some light on the latest figures of the economy. So you must be watching on WhatsApp and then media and everywhere that we have become the fifth largest economy in the world. But you must not be aware that we are far behind in terms of the definition of those five economies. So the first economy is US, then the Germany, no, US, Japan, Germany, China, and India. So, but you must not I don't know whether you are aware or not, but our per capita GDP is just per capita per annum GDP is just $2,000 US dollars per annum. What does this mean? This means our average earning is just 1,60,000 rupees. And if we see of the top three countries, those are US, Japan, and Germany. So their average annual per capita income is $50,000 to $60,000, and China is $13,000. So you can understand where we are. We are nowhere. Assuming, anyway, now we have become the largest populated country in the world. So assuming this population, if we want to even have our entire population's per capita income 12,000 or 13,000 per capita, per capita income, our economy should be of $15 trillion, and currently we are just eyeing for $5 trillion. So for $15 trillion, you can understand how much we will have to work. Again, in India, we also have a issue of disparity meaning in the distribution of the income. So how is it possible? So only those enterprises or those industries or those measures which will address the problems of the larger population, which is rural population, those measures will help us to really grow as a superpower in terms of per capita distribution and equitable distribution of the income. So, so market size, if we think of market size, so since you must be from agriculture background, so we are the largest, one of the largest countries which is having the arable land. It means we are having the largest portion of land which can be cultivated. It again means that we are the largest economy in terms of agriculture inputs, agriculture technology, and everywhere. And that is the reason every global giant which is working in agriculture or food has its presence in India. So you can gauge the scope of your startups or agriculture interventions, which can give really benefit not only to you but the entire population. So as I already told that the large population is dependent. More importantly, earlier 5-10 years back, there was also an issue of change in the mindset of I'll not say farmers, but the entire whoever we were supposed to address our solutions. So now people have become more accepting because of the media and everything. So so not only progressive farmer, but other farmers or other people are also have started experimenting with the new things. So that is something it's it's very exciting for all of us to work in that. post-COVID, everything which is good for health, everything which is agriculture based has increased immensely. If you see our exports figure pre-COVID and post-COVID, there is tremendous rise. Again, for your information, China was the largest supplier of agriculture and food items to the world. Even now, even though we are saying that India has jumped a lot and has done very good figures in export, but even now also we are not more than 1% in the global trade. So in terms of, I'm talking about the commodities and produce, but in terms of technology and your startup and then inputs as well as an ecosystem, so there also we are having good export demand to the developing countries like African countries and Sri Lanka, Bangladesh. In fact, a lot of companies now are eyeing Bangladesh because there are a lot of strategic advantages to the world while setting up some of their initiatives in Bangladesh and such kind of third world countries, even Vietnam. So you also have a lot of export demand, then congenial government policies. And in fact, there are a lot of schemes also, not only for startups, but entire agriculture and food ecosystem. So you must be aware of that, but I'll just name a few of them. So 1 lakh crore of Agri Infra Fund, then 10,000 crore of your Prime Minister Formulation of Micro Enterprises Scheme, and SIDBI schemes. Then even Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. A lot of foundations are also willing to participate in the growth story of the agri startups. And there are a lot of things which can be discussed and can be evaluated while traveling from point A to point B. But this space is something we should be always connected with each other and should ensure like how we can help each other to expand and to become the success in the startup this thing. And with this, I would like to stop over here and if there are any queries we can take up. And my request would be this Agmatrix platform, whatever they are given, it's a very good platform for handholding. And in fact, all the participants should also be always connected with Agmatrix. And whatever today's meeting opportunity what Agmatrix has given to us, this is just the beginning. Since my name and everything, so we can connect outside also. If the students who are participating from all over India, if they want, I can also help them sponsor some kind of events in their colleges. Also help them, in long-term sustainable mentorship of their enterprises. And together, let's create a marvel in the agri and post-harvest management in India. Thank you.
Right, sir. Right, sir. Thank you so much, sir, for so much information and proper insights about the topic. So we have a few questions and we'll like you to answer them. Also, if any participants has any other questions, they can raise their hand or again, write in the chat box. So there's a question from Shagun. The question goes, can you give us some insights on job role of horticulturist in Santara Food Park? So you're on mute actually, if you could. So you're on mute. Yeah.
As of now, the food park is fully functional, and there is no role as such horticulture can play over there. We are having landscape and other things, but they are taken care of by blue collar people. So horticulturists, as of now, though, we don't have any role. Bhupesh, your mic.
Yeah, sir. So thank you so much, sir, for that. We have another question. The question is, what are government interventions in subsidies in food processing businesses?
Actually, there are many, and different in different states, but in Maharashtra, or like there are some schemes which are operational all over India. In Maharashtra, we are having Prime Minister's formulation of micro enterprises, which gives a grant in aid. So subsidy is different and a grant in aid is different. Grant in aid means you don't have to return the money back to the government or the funding agency. So that is the grant in aid. So in this case, you get a grant in aid of maximum up to 10 lakh rupees or 35%. Then you have two schemes. One is the Chief Minister's CMMGP, Chief Minister Employment Guarantee Project, and then the other one is the Prime Minister Employment Guarantee Project. There you get a grant in aid of from 15% to 35%, and the maximum project cost limit is 50 lakh rupees. Then in food park, you have schemes wherein you can get a grant in aid up to 5 crore rupees. So that also is a not refundable grant, and that you can use for your entire setup. Then Agri Infra Fund is there, the NABARD fund is there. So which gives loans to food enterprises at a very lesser rate than the commercial borrowings. So that is there. And then the government of Maharashtra also gives subsidies or incentives which are fiscal in nature. It means first we have to put up a project and then we get either some exemptions or reimbursements. So that goes up to 70 to 100% depending upon which zone is there. Then different banks are having different schemes for food startups. Apart from this, medicinal plant, then honeybee mission. So there are different missions, and under those missions, again their subsidies are there for their specific crops. So that is a very big list. Again, there also the issue is with subsidy is not a concern, or subsidy is not an issue. The issue is that we have to have a proper business model, and then subsidy will always fall in place.
Right, sir. Right, sir. I think so. That would actually answer the question, and it's really great to see that even the Indian government is, giving a helping hand to all the, let's say, entrepreneurs and founders to build their corporations. So, next question is: any Ministry of Food Processing schemes for startup businesses?
Pardon?
Sir, is there any Ministry of Food Processing schemes?
There is no, as far as Ministry of Food Processing concerned, there is no distinction between a startup or this thing. So anyone can walk in and then they can set up, or they can apply for those schemes which are being promoted by the Ministry of Food Processing Industries.
Right, sir. Right, sir. Got that. And so, can you tell us about startup types in the food sector? Like, what are the different food startup types, if you have anything on that?
The food startups, so normally the food startups, the major food startups, those are in consultancy as well, like Food Buddy, I don't exactly remember the names, but consultancy food startups are there. Then R&D food startups are there. So they give you the R&D for your type of product. So that is also there, and it doesn't require a major setup. So R&D startups are there in the food. Then cloud kitchens, or what we can say, the local kitchen setups with local deliveries. So that are also quite popular. Then app-based delivery systems are also there. Then there are large number of startups which may or may not be working. Those are in home delivery of fresh fruits and vegetables. So Country Delight is there. It is also one of the startup. Milk Basket is there. Big Basket was also earlier a startup. Now it has become a conglomerate.
Right.
So there are n number of it, and if at all after this session, if anyone has any specific this thing, so they can always connect me on LinkedIn.
Okay, sir. Got that, sir. With that, sir, we thank you very much for joining us today and answering these questions and also giving us various insights and a very big brief on the topic. Thank you so much, sir.
Bye bye.
Thank you, sir. To all the participants, we request to please be to stay joined. Our next speaker will be joining us shortly. So till then, we'll take a 5 minutes small break and then we'll start again. Thank you.